or radar ships. Taking the curve first to sea cap.
See also.
We doing the standard kind of splits?
Yeah.
Petro to Bravo.
Shimmy to Bravo.
This is the map we won on earlier, so.
Action stations!
Well, let's
That's
fix
what
that.
humans say, right? Engine boost activated! Enemy force sighted on the horizon!
You got me detected.
Yeah, he's got that 10K radar.
Is Russia stalling in Bakhmut so badly that it's sending its soldiers elsewhere? The UK Ministry of Defense seems to think that Russia is spreading its forces away from the major city. But how long can Ukrainian forces hold out? I'm Paul, U.S. Army combat veteran. It's March 22nd, 2023. This is your daily Ukraine update. Let's get into it. Okay, first, let's take a look at the control map. Biggest news is no news at all. As you guys can see, there is virtually no changes to the front line at all. And this is, of course, validated by the UK Ministry of Defense intelligence update, an unusual two-bullet update for that. First, it mentions that Ukrainian forces are engaging in a local counterattack west in Bakhmut to relieve pressure on the threatened H-32 supply route. Fighting continues in the town center, and Ukrainian defense remains at risk from envelopment from the north and south. This is spot on.
Another darn gearing right behind that
island.
island.
When we look over at the combat map, the H-32 highway in the south is indeed very, very close to the front lines.
And I'm not sure where the battleship's at.
When we look at Russian forces, you can see they launched over 114 attacks yesterday.
Yeah, I'll go land and flush him.
He's over here,
very
Dave.
significant increase from the past several days where we've seen numbers below 100, right? I take 100 to be the over-under, sort of the median number of attacks. But when we have this, you can see Russian forces pressing really hard to sever this H-32 route, right? It would mean that the only available route, formal route, is 506, right? Which also is extremely close to Russian forces, to Russian lines. So Ukrainian forces have a real need to keep these open. And in contrast, Russia has a real desire to complete this envelopment. It's hard for me to understand, again, why Ukrainian forces are trying to make their big fight happen in this incredibly disadvantageous position. I think it's probably to buy time to launch their major counteroffensive, but it's a tall order, and it's
They're
hard
Russian,
to
bravo.
buy time when you have these two very narrow supply routes. It's sort of like making someone with,
shots on their petrol
like
here. but he's
major
coming.
artery blockages run a marathon, right? It's so narrow. You're asking a lot.
Gearing
of
only has
the-
2 sets of
of
torps.
a pretty beleaguered
Hey,
and
Carrie,
pretty
let's go ahead and push hard on this DD and C
pretty
cap.
beleaguered
Let's get him out of here.
defensive situation. But where things get even more interesting, right, as these guys talk about, there's a possibility, the UK Ministry of Defense acknowledges, that Russian assault on the town is losing its limited
Guys, I'm gonna sit
momentum
right
it
here
had
and
obtained,
shoot
partially
the
because
broadsides
some
of these
Russian MOD
ships
units
here.
have been reallocated to other sectors. Again, probably part of a larger Russian campaign to bleed Wagner
Two
Group.
citadels on this town. Nice
and,
job, CG.
why would the Russian MOD support Wagner when they've spent so much time talking so much smack on the Russian Ministry of Defense?
Stalingrad in
And I want to
reverse.
point out that, again,
feel
there's
the
a lot of
catch
combat
if I can
videos
look
coming
here.
out of Bakhmut, and I am checking all those out on
Shuts
my
off
site,
from Stalingrad over there.
combatvetnews.com. Patreon decided that they were tired of Ukraine conflict stuff, so I actually got canceled on Patreon, and now I'm over here on combatvetnews.net. You can see, though, every one of my YouTube videos available for free, and if you sign up and become a member, same tiers as Patreon, but a little less expensive, not only do you getting all sorts of original drone footage, GoPro footage, but I'm also have found all my archived Patreon videos, so we are
Shots off
dropping
in the back,
those
Stalingrad
back
here.
in. So you can see already we have a ton. I'm
Mhm.
dropping a new video every day this week, so definitely sign up, support the
Nice,
channel,
Mark.
help me continue to do what I do, despite big tech's
Okay,
efforts
TG,
to
we'll just keep
to,
you alive here.
you know,
I'll work on this
sanitize
battleship.
and memory hole this
got him in a
conflict.
broadside from
So when
over
we
here.
zoom out, we can see that Russian forces are
Yeah,
again sort
nice
of
job.
forgetting the
Nice.
lessons they learned on their economy of force. They continue to attack across these broad areas of the front lines, again, not really concentrating as they should on, for example, Avdiivka, right, which is, again, in significant danger of encirclement.
your
You can see
secondaries
here
are
they've
off
taken
and just
this
fire
rail line,
torps. We'll keep this,
but some of these smaller routes out of Avdiivka remain fairly clear. But nonetheless, it's something straight out of the Bakhmut playbook. And you can see, of course, across Bakhmut, but also to the north, right, near Bilohorivka, Bilohorivka Part 2, and the Crimean-Lyman axis, all of which are
Citadel in Puerto
engaging
Rico.
in this conflict. And it's, again, hard to make sense of Russia's decision-making here when they have momentum in their favor, they have their opposition on the back foot, and yet they disperse their forces. Again, it's a sign, I think, of how demechanized the forces have become in that
You guys will have to
you
get a
can't really
C cap. We
concentrate
only
them,
have
you
one
can't
cap here.
move the volume of troops into an area like they probably wish they could, and the result is, of course, just this sort of plodding warfare that is just taking inch by inch by
That's
inch.
good.
Thank you,
and-
TG. Nice job.
But it's working because the Ukrainians are allowing it to work. They hopefully
Where's
have
the
some
other
sort of
destroyer?
large
Okay, never mind,
counterattack
he's on the
plan
other
that will
side. We're
enable
good.
them to flip
Yep, the
territory
cap's
at
all yours,
scale.
TG. We're
That will allow them to
gonna
fight
go
this
play
war
with
of
the,
maneuver
destroyer.
and not this positional World War I
I
style.
didn't realize he
warfare.
was the last one.
When we take a look at the daily update,
I'm gonna
from
pop my
Study of
radar.
War, there's
You want me
not
to
a
wait?
ton. I mean, troublingly,
Yeah, if you're detected,
Russia
I'd
is
pop
set
it.
to ascend as president of the United Nations Security Council, which itself doesn't carry like concrete power, but it does enable them to have a podium to spin their nonsense. For example, they're going to describe in April the real situation of Ukrainian children taken to Russia. And this is them going to try to justify what they are doing.
They made the mistake of all
but
trying to go
again,
through that
tough
gap
to
in the
make
rocks over
any-
here between
it's
A
tough to
and B.
justify doing something.
Yeah,
And
like
all I did was
that,
keep flooding
right?
it with pork.
Repatriating children from their parents without their
I got
parents
6 torpedo
express intent.
Nice when it works, eh?
And undoubtedly, some right Russophile Ukrainians in the East probably want their kids to end up in Russia, but the vast majority are probably being taken without
I know, I looked to my
their
left and
parents